Imagine walking down a London street and seeing a judge, full robes, wig, gavel raised high above a protester, painted on the wall of a historic courthouse. But this isn't justice presiding over a fair trial. This is justice looming over the public, wielding power like a weapon. That's Banksy's latest work, and it didn't last long. Authorities covered it up almost immediately. Passers-by stopped to photograph it, phones out, knowing it might vanish in hours. Some cheered, others cursed. Within a few days, the wall was blank again. But the image had already burned itself into the news cycle. Some said it was about the UK government's ban on the group Palestine Action. Others argued it was about Britain's migrant protests. The debate split fast along political lines, but maybe that's missing the point. Banksy's murals will always resonate with current affairs, so long as we live in a world divided by politics and where authority can twist the law into a tool of control. There's something chilling about the image. The judge, draped in centuries of tradition, isn't neutral here. The raised gavel feels less like justice delivered and more like punishment threatened. The protester below is dwarfed, powerless, a reminder of how small dissent can look when set against the machinery of law. It suggests that what should protect fairness has been warped into an instrument of intimidation. And this is exactly the kind of visual Banksy has always used, flipping authority on its head. Think of the flower thrower, a protester about to hurl a Molotov cocktail, except it's not fire he throws, but a bouquet of flowers. A symbol of how rebellion might be transformed into something hopeful. Both images explore the tension between individuals and authority. One shows resistance taking a hopeful form, the other shows authority imposing control. Together, they force us to ask how power shapes who gets protected and who gets punished. This isn't a new theme for Banksy. In 2005, he painted murals on the West Bank barrier in Palestine. Illusions of ladders, windows and holes in the wall. They were glimpses of freedom in a concrete prison. And in another mural in London, a policeman frisks a small girl while her teddy bear is ignored by her side. The image feels almost absurd, but that absurdity is the point. It forces us to confront how authority can lose sight of humanity in its obsession with control. Banksy wasn't speaking to one headline, but to a universal truth. When power feels threatened, it tightens its grip. Or consider his infamous piece Napalm, the iconic photo of Kim Phuc, the napalm girl of Vietnam, is placed between Ronald McDonald and Mickey Mouse. They're smiling, holding her tiny hands while she screams in agony. It's jarring. Two of the most recognisable symbols of childhood innocence and fun are made complicit in her suffering. Banksy forces us to ask, what happens when the very icons we trust to protect children instead become part of their exploitation, whether through war, consumerism, or the dark corners of power? So this new mural isn't an outlier. It's another chapter in Banksy's ongoing critique of power, law, and corruption. His critique doesn't stop at the streets. It reaches right into the halls of power. His 2009 work, Devolved Parliament, filled the House of Commons with chimpanzees in place of MPs. It was biting satire, not just mocking politicians, but highlighting the decay of democratic institutions themselves. When it went on display during the height of Brexit debates, crowds lined up to gawk. Some laughed, others looked deeply unsettled. That's Banksy at his sharpest, making mockery feel like prophecy. So when he paints a judge towering on a London courthouse, it's a direct shot at Britain's own legal system. A suggestion that the law isn't always the servant of justice. Sometimes it's the servant of power. Then there's the placement, on a Grade 1 listed courthouse, a building the state must preserve. Banksy would have known this mural couldn't survive there, and that's the genius of it. The authorities had no choice but to erase it, which means the act of censorship becomes part of the artwork itself. This is something Banksy has always played with. His murals are painted over, stolen, sold at auction, or destroyed, yet their erasure only feeds their power. Think of his recurring rats, painted in alleys and on bridges. They're despised, scrubbed away, hunted. But they survive. They return. Just like dissent. So when the judge was scrubbed off the courthouse wall, that wasn't the end of the artwork. It was the final act. Banksy set the stage, but authority performed the finale. And here's another layer to all of this. We still don't know who Banksy really is. For more than 2 decades, he's kept his identity hidden. No artist of his fame has stayed so completely in the shadows. And that mystery isn't just a quirk, it's part of the message. By refusing to step into the spotlight, Banksy shifts all attention onto the work itself. There's no celebrity ego to distract from the art, no polished brand to soften the edges. He's untouchable because he's invisible, which means his murals can land their punches without fear of personal consequence. It also turns every appearance of his art into an event. A sudden mural on a city wall becomes a headline because the world knows the man is hidden in plain sight. His anonymity keeps him free, but it also makes the system uneasy because they can't control what they can't catch. And maybe that's what makes this so striking. In a world dominated by digital art, AI, and spectacle, a single painting on a wall can still stop people in their tracks, spark headlines around the globe, and provoke furious arguments online. Banksy proves that even today, the oldest medium, paint on a wall, can still carry the sharpest blade. So maybe the real question isn't whether his mural was about Gaza or migrant protests in Britain. Maybe the real question is, are we so busy arguing with each other that we've stopped noticing when the gavel comes down on us all? Banksy knew this mural would be censored, and maybe that was always the point, to let authority finish the artwork for him. A judge, a gavel, and a wall that couldn't hold the truth. What does it say to you? Leave your thoughts below, and if you want more hidden histories and the secrets art refuses to bury, check out my other videos.